Hello, welcome to Excel Highway. In today's video, I want to share with you a freelancer payment tracker that I created on Google Sheets. Using this file, you can track your payments, track your upcoming work, and understand overall where you stand. Now, it's especially for freelancers, but of course, anybody can use it for their own purposes if they want to track payments. You can be a small business that you want to track and you don't want to use a software for that yet. So that's perfect for you. And it's of course on Google Sheets, which is free. So what do we see in the file? We have a dashboard that's going to show us some metrics for us. We can select a specific time bucket, whether it be a month, quarter, or year, and I can select the start date. So if I select a quarter that starts in December, I'm going to see 3 months of data, December through February. If I select a year, I'm going to see December through November. And if I'm going to select a month, I'm going to see just the month of November. And of course, I can change that to November and everything will change accordingly. I'm going to see my jobs that I have for that specific period by status. And we'll see that in a second, how that's being set up. But 20% are in the status of lead, negotiation, contract completed, or work not received. I can also see my payments, what was paid, what is still outstanding, and what is lost payment, meaning money I will never see because of whatever reason. This is how life happens. Sometimes your customers may not pay you. Hopefully, this never happened to you, but it did happen to me. So I know that I need to track that. I can also see here the last 12 months of the money that was paid. Okay. And if I move with my mouse, I can see the amount itself. And I also put here the top 5 outstanding amount customers. So these are customers that you need to reach out and check what's going on with the amounts. So that's the dashboard. Now let's take a look at how everything is built. The jobs database. So the blue columns are the columns that you need to input information manually, and the orange ones will be calculated. So you have the job ID, which should be unique, the client name, the job description, what did you do, the date for this job, which of course everything here you can change, but this is the lead date for everything in the dashboard. And you have different statuses. I have here 5. The statuses are coming here from the list sheet, which is very simple. You have the job status and the potential. So the potential is going to show you out of the amount that you think you'll get what is more realistic. So if it's in the lead state, it's 10%, negotiation 25, signed and completed, of course, 100, and not received is 0. And you can add whatever status you want. Let's say test with 15%. And if I go over here, now I'll have also the test option, which doesn't have a color yet. But I also added colors, which we'll see in a second. So you can see that I have the next step, which is a free text, like follow up on the 15th with an email, the agreed amount, and the potential amount. So because I selected lead, it's 250, which is 10%. If I selected completed, it's going to go to that and test to that. And I'll just erase the test. So drop down, I hope everybody knows how to do it, but if you don't, click on data, data validation, select the range. Okay, you can select the range over here, and the criteria is from a range. Then I select the list area, A2 through A without a number, so it's going to go all the way down to the last row. And then it's just going to build the list, and I just played with the colors. And if, of course, if I'll add one, I will change colors. You can select multiple if you want, but I don't really like to use that. I also like to click on advanced options, reject the input and arrow instead of chip, because chip I just think looks a little bit less. But you know what? Maybe with the colors, because I don't always use colors, so I'm going to leave it with chip. So that's the data validation. The potential amount, that's very simple. I'm using VLOOKUP for the status in the list to capture the percentage times the number over here. Paid amount, that is going to come from the payment database, which we'll see in a second. It's going to sum basically the job ID. So whatever payments will be tracked in the payment database. Outstanding amount is the delta between them. And if you flag something as lost payment with a yes, then that's how we're going to take that into account later on. Payment database, you have the job ID, which the list is coming from here. How is this being built? I just want to filter the jobs, A2 through A last row, for cases where column J is bigger than 0 and column K is not yes. So column J is the outstanding amount and column K isn't yes. So I don't want to be able to select 104 and I don't want to select 103 because I've already, sorry, I don't want to select anything here paid in full. Okay, so right now everything is paid in full, but if I have 0 in the outstanding amount, let's say, let's change that to 1500. So I don't want to be able to select 107. And that's why you see those triangles, because 104, 107 are already paid in full. So it doesn't make sense to be able to select them. But for a next line, you can just select a number, let's say 119. So you can see the information, the client name, job description, job status, and outstanding amount. These are all being pulled from the jobs database using index match. And I'm using index match instead of VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, and just because it's easier to build it once and then drag the formula. So index, this is the area, the first part is the area you want to work on, the table itself. The first match will find the row number. So I'm looking for the match and I have a $sign before that for the job ID. Then I'm going to look for column A where the job's ID is located and 0 because I want an exact match. And I also have $signs here for the table because I'm going to move the formula to the right and to the bottom. I don't want these to shift. The second match will define the column number that I'm going to search. So now the match will go for the client name, then job description, etc., etc. So I have the $sign on the number, not on the letter, on the column. Then I'm going to search for that header in the first row. So that's going to identify which column to pull the information. Again, 0. And I have an if A is greater than 0 to do that, otherwise return a blank, just so it's nice and I don't have all those NAs. And that's why as soon as I select a number, I can get the information. Then I'm just going to decide when I was paid, let's say today, and the amounts, outstanding is 420, but what if I put 500? I'm going to see that the amount is negative, and that doesn't make sense technically, so it's going to show up in red. So I know I have to do that. And if I have another payment, I will say I got half up front. I can make a note just for myself. And this is, let's say, paid via PayPal, whatever I want as the notes. And of course, you can add columns, do whatever you want. So that's the payment database. And now in the jobs database, whatever I have is a paid amount, like 103, that's going to appear over here. So now I have outstanding amount. So you always have the agreed amount, the potential amount, the paid amount, and the outstanding amount. So that was the payment database and the jobs database. We talked about the list. Lastly, we have the dashboard data. That's the information that is used to build all these nice metrics. So first off, the data validation over here, okay, is very simple. I just added month, quarter, and year manually as a drop-down. Dot is not from a range. The start date, all I wanted to say is this has to be a date. So I selected criteria is valid date. I don't want text or number or something that will mess up everything. So those two inputs I'm going to capture here, quarter and year. Then I have this small table that says for month, advance 1, months, quarter 3, and year 12. So this is the date from, and the to date for everything to check. Basically, the range of dates is going to be date, which advances a date by months, start date, and the number of months. That's going to be my VLOOKUP. So if it's quarter, it's 3 months. That's why you see February. Then I have the job status and the number of jobs, which is this pie chart. Very simple, count ifs on the jobs database, column E, which is the status. All right. Make sure it is equal to the status over here. And then I want to check the dates, which are columns D. I want to make sure the date is greater than or equal to B2, which is the from, and less, not equal to B3. So I have the exact range. Just drag that. And of course, make sure you have the dollar signs when you're dragging things. And then it's just a simple pie chart. Of course, you can do whatever you want. And unfortunately, you can't cut and paste. You have to copy and paste. So I copy and I paste, and then I make all the changes that I want with labels and everything, title, etc., and whatnot. And you can do that on your own, however you see fit. Then you have the payment status. This is a sum ifs. Very similar. I have a sum ifs for the column I, and also for column J, and also for column J, just with the last criteria, checking if column K has a yes or is blank. If it has a yes, it's lost. If it is blank, then we're still good. And this text is the text over here, payment status. Then I added a space. I used text to format it in a way that I wanted to see, which is the month and year. Then I have this arrow, and again, text for 1 day before the date, because I want it to be very clear. I don't want it to show from November to February. I want it to show November to the last day of January. So that's how I achieved that. And that's going to be used over here as my header. And also here, my header, you can see is job status. The value, I did it over there, which is just the sum. So that's why I have a dynamic label for my chart. So that's that. And this is just, in this case, I created a simple column chart on those three. And that's that. The last 12 months, so I'm going to use date -12. So that's going to bring me back 12 months to that date, and then just advance date 1 and do that 11 times, sorry. So I have 12 months of information. And the reason you see November is because I just formatted the text in a specific, just show me the month, because I just wanted to look nice in the chart, not the full date. And it's the same sum ifs that I had for the paid, okay, just coming from a different sheet. This is coming from the payment database, because here's where I track the actual dates. So I'm looking for column F and column G, making sure that it's within the range of the date. And within the range of the date, I'm going to use D greater or equal to D11 and less than date D11 and 1. And the reason I'm not using, let's say, the next row is because the last row won't work. It happened to me before that I just dragged and then I say, okay, I don't have a value here, and then I have to change the chart, and it's just easy for me to use date. And that's how I do that. The last metric that I have is the outstanding amount customers. So I'm going to use filter for the jobs database. Again, column D for the dates, column J greater than 0, and K is not yes. So again, J is the outstanding. I just want to see the ones that are not lost. That's going to bring up the list of everyone over here. And then I just want to show the top 5 outstanding amount customers. So I'm going to filter that range and use this formula, which I found that will sort it, but limit basically the results to 5, because I don't want to see everyone. I just want to see the top 5 customers that owe me for a specific job. That's the top 5 customers. You could do it. This will of course not aggregate customers. It's going to be specific to a specific job, because you sometimes want to understand a specific job. If you want all the customers, then you can use some ifs. Instead of the value here, you can filter. Here I did, oh, I'm sorry, I did do a sum ifs. I thought I filtered just a specific job. So this is going to show you for specific customers what you see. And these are all just simple columns, charts over here. All right, so that was the freelancer payment tracker that can also be used for a small business. I hope you found value in this file. It will be available on my Patreon page, which you can access in the link below. Of course, you can follow the steps and build it on your own and make your own adjustments. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that subscribe button, like, and leave a comment. I read all of them. Have a good one.